Where are we? You are live, it says here. Am I though? Let's check this out. There. Easter Bunny Paint Along. Paint Along. How's it going, everyone? If anyone's on here, step by step. Just finishing up the final little touches. There we go. I think we're good on the setup here. Okay, there we go. All right, everybody. Oh, not yet, not yet. Here we go. Go live now. Just like a minute late. Okay, fantastic. Looks like I'm live. All right, we are live. How's it going, everybody? Happy Tuesday. It is 3 p.m. Pacific time. If I can get somebody to give me a sound check, let's start off with that. A little sound check. Let me know that you can hear me. That would be fantastic. Let me check my audio once again on my end. All right, audio looks good over here. So I think we're in business, but just in case, I always like to make sure that you guys can hear me. So again, if somebody could give me a sound check, that would be great. I'm going to wait a moment here while I let this thing all catch up and while I let some of you guys jump on here to join me. We're going to have a fun little painting session today. Kind of easy, relatively simple, but there are lots of little components to it. So while I say it's relatively easy, doesn't mean that that it's going to be a breeze. There we go. I see myself now. Good. Angie says good evening. Sherry says, hey, Jesse, I can hear you. All right. Good. So I wanted to see, make sure that you guys can hear me okay. And then one last bit here. Hang on one second. Where are my comments? Comments have disappeared from my feed. Don't know why that happened. Might take a moment for them to pop up. All right, no worries. But okay, everyone. So today is Tuesday. We're going to be celebrating with this little fun Easter bunny theme, spring, Easter, right? Little bunny painting, decorating some Easter eggs, getting ready for Easter Sunday. So my name is Jesse. If you're new to my page or haven't painted with me in the past, I do painting sessions here on the Painting with Jesse page. I do at least one a month that's open to the public that everyone gets to paint along with. I also have a membership called Finding Your Brushstroke. It's also here on Facebook. It is a private group, and in there we paint at least once a week. We're usually doing about 5 to 6 sessions a month. Okay, so you'll often see me talking about the group here on the Painting with Jesse page. That's what that's about. Happy Easter to you, Diane. What's happening, Rose? So I am going to be let's talk about the supplies that I'm going to be working with today. Of course, you get to use whatever you're comfortable with or whatever you have handy. I'm going to be painting on an 8 by 10 inch canvas. Okay, same as what's on the original. I'm going to be using, as far as the brushes today, 1 inch flat brush. Okay, this flat brush is going to be for painting in the background. Okay, I've got let's see here, this one's about a 1/2 inch flat. Just a little brush that I can use to paint the insides of things. Okay, a little smaller. So my 1 inch and then my 1/2 inch right next to each other, side by side. Okay, and then I've got a couple of smaller brushes. I've got a little Filbert brush. This is a number 5 Filbert. Okay, basically you'll recognize these because they have a rounded head. If you don't have one of these, this is a little bit of a specialty brush. Don't worry about it. You don't really need it. If all you have are flat brushes like these, that's all you need. Nothing fancy. Okay, and then I've got a couple of smaller brushes. I've got a small number 0 liner brush right here, which I'll be using to make some outlines with, and smaller details. And then I've got a number 0 detail brush, little tiny round brush that you can make small lines with. So those are the basic brushes, nothing fancy. Once again, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 brushes. Use what you've got. Whenever I post the supplies on, the supplies lists for these sessions, use what you've got. Okay, don't worry about trying to match my brushes exactly. As long as you're kind of close, you're going to be okay. Then, of course, I've got a water cup. I keep my rinse water in here. I rinse my brushes in between steps. I also keep my dirty brushes in there in between uses because you don't want them to dry up if you're using acrylic paint like I am, okay? And speaking of acrylic paint, as far as the colors today, okay, my background is going to be a combination of primary blue and white. Okay, again, this is for my background, and I like to use Liquitex Basics for my acrylic paintings. And then other colors that I'm going to be using. Some primary yellow, okay, primary yellow, especially the little butterfly. So that's the only place that I use the primary yellow on, that little butterfly. I've got some, this is medium magenta, which is basically a pink color. Going to be using that for the egg, the cheeks, the nose, the ears. I'll be mixing this with some white to, change up the color a little bit. What am I missing? Am I missing? Oh, green. I want to make sure we talk about green. I'm going to be using some green. In this case, I'm using 2 greens, although I've run out of my other green. So I've got some light green permanent, and then I'm going to mix it with a little bit of my Anita's craft paint. My Liquitex Hooker's green is out, so I'll be mixing it with a little bit of this just for some variation in the color. I'll also be mixing greens and yellows to create these kind of lighter greenish areas. So if you got some green and some yellow, that's all you really need. Nothing crazy. I feel like I'm missing a color. Oh, I didn't list this one, but don't worry about this too much. I've got some dioxazine purple. I'll be mixing this with black and white to create this dark area or the shaded area on the bunny. Okay, so real basic. Again, nothing fancy. Use what you've got. You don't have to have exactly the same supplies as I do. I've also got paper towels. Okay, very important to have paper towels. Things get messy. I'm going to be drawing. When we get to the drawing part of this, I'm going to be using a real basic erasable colored pencil from Crayola. I like these because these are nice and easy to erase with. Okay, so there's that. You could also use pencil, regular pencil, chalk. Use what you've got. So we're going to work on the background first. We're going to paint in blue and then a little bit of green for the grassy area. So that's our background. I have a blow dryer. I'm going to be using that to blow dry that background. Then we're going to draw the bunny. We're going to do that step by step. If you are on the Painting with Jesse email list or in my membership group, for the email list, I emailed out the tracer or stencil. Some people refer to it as either or printable even. You can use that as a stencil for the bunny. So I emailed that out. Sorry, let me back up. I emailed that out last night to the Painting with Jesse email list, and then of course I posted the link to that in my membership. So if you haven't seen that yet, make sure you grab that and print it out if you're going to be using that instead of drawing freehand. But we are going to be doing this freehand when we get to that point. If you have the printout, you can trace that on to your canvas. All right. Let me say hello to a few people, and let me see if my comments have popped back up on the main. No, they're still not up. Okay, so I'm not going to be able to watch your guys' comments pop up as they come up. So that's a little bit of a bummer, but that's okay. We'll make do. All right. Anyway, so let me say hello to a few people. Looks like Linda Jean. How's it going? Jandra Ale. Hello to you. Let's see. Those are all the comments I can see at the moment. I know there's more of them. So folks, we're going to get going. Okay. In between steps, we're going to start with that background. As I finish a step, I'll look at the comments. I'll answer questions and things like that. Again, the comments are a little bit off at the moment. I'm not sure what's happening. So I'm not going to be able to catch them all. We don't have a really large group today, so it makes it easier for me to follow along with the comments. But for those of you that are new to the page, in between steps, when I do a step, I give you a little time to implement that on your end. I look at the comments to try to answer questions, to say hello. Please make sure you let me know where you're joining me from and then who's painting along with you. Okay, I've got a glass or plexiglass palette that I'm going to be using today. I'm going to start with a little bit of phthalo blue, or sorry, primary blue, not phthalo blue. Primary blue, I'm going to put that right on my palette. Don't need a lot. Primary blue is a pretty strong color, and I'm having apparently the tube is also pretty strong. It closes kind of tight. I struggle to open it. So little primary blue, don't need a lot. Again, very little goes a long way. Okay, I'm also going to put out, I've got some titanium white. I'm going to put those, I'm going to start with those on my palette. And I'm going to mix very little blue with my white. Okay, I got lots of white there on the palette. I'm going to take my 1-inch flat brush, big old brush, and I'm just going to mix. I'm going to take some of this white. I'm going to bring it here towards the center of the canvas. I'm going to take some of the primary blue. I think I took too much, so I put some over to the side there. I'm going to mix these up until I get a nice shade of, or nice hue of light blue. I'm not trying to match my original exactly. I'm just trying to get kind of close. That I always tell you guys, don't stress too much. This is a no stress environment, no stress zone. Have some fun with this. Whether you've been painting a while, or whoops, I keep grabbing it back from the top. Whether you've been painting for a while, or you're newer to painting, I try to emphasize that you enjoy the process. The more you enjoy it, the more likely you are to have fun. Well, duh, right? The more you enjoy it, the more likely you are to have fun. The more you enjoy it, the more likely you are to continue doing it. And that's part of the secret, is to kind of relax and just enjoy it. Again, the more fun you have, the more enjoyment, the more likely you are to continue in the process. Okay, so you don't necessarily have to try to match my painting exactly the way I'm doing. If you feel like making some changes to yours, please feel free to do so. Change your colors, change whatever it is you want to change up on yours. I'm going to walk you through the steps in recreating a piece similar to mine, but again, if you end up with something a little different or a lot different, that's okay. Everyone injects their own personality into this, their own kind of almost style. Even if you're newer to this stuff, you're going to come in with your own, the way that you hold the brush, the way you move the brush, things like that. Those can be very unique. Okay, but if you are trying to match mine, okay, absolutely. Oops, I'm gonna take my brush and I'm gonna dip in my water cup a little bit. Just gonna mix a little bit of water. So I just dip my brush in my water cup. Just gonna bring some of this over to make it a little easier to spread on the canvas. But again, everybody, don't stress out. Enjoy. Now, I'm not going to come all the way down with my blue. I'm just going to come to about this far down. I want to leave a little area down there where I'm going to add some green. And maybe I'll make this a little bit into an arch or a curved edge, as I have here on the original, where the grass kind of comes up like this. I went a little too far, but it's not that big of a deal. I could wipe that off if I need to with a paper towel. But again, it's not anything too serious or important, so I can always paint green over that edge. Okay, while this is drying, I'm going to go ahead and just smooth out my background a bit. If you guys have any questions about the process, whether you feel like maybe maybe something you missed, something that I've explained or I've mentioned doesn't make a lot of sense, or it's just a general question about the process of painting or drawing, put it in the comments. I'll be more than happy to answer you as long as I see your question. Okay. So, all right, I'm going to take about a minute or so to let you guys do a little catching up. Let me look at your comments here. Michelle Sign says, hello there. Good afternoon. Good afternoon to you, Michelle. Thank you for stopping by. Hello, whether you're just hanging out or painting. Hopefully you're getting a chance to paint. Kelly Barton Berend from Southern California. What's happening, Kelly? Looks like you're in Southern California just as I am. Angie says, rainy Northwest Indiana. We've been having lots of rain here in California over the past few weeks. Today is nice and sunny. We had a little tiny bit of rain yesterday, and about 2-3 days ago it was raining pretty hard. But today's nice and sunny. It's a pretty day, a little breezy, actually a little windy from time to time, but right now it's a little breezy. So enjoying the weather today. What else, everybody? Again, if you have any questions for me, put them down in the comments. I'm looking at them now. It's going to be a little bit difficult for me to see them live because again, something's happening with the feed. I can't. It's like I have to keep refreshing. What's happening, Elizabeth? How are you? All right. Let me see if the comments have changed over here. They have not. Don't know why. Let's see. Trying to see if I can bring these back. All right, that's it. Now, if you guys are jumping on here and you're going, oh my gosh, I didn't know this was going on, or you're not part of the email list and you need the stencil, in the description of the video, I did put down at the very bottom, there's a link to the Painting with Jesse email list. Okay, I send out updates and stencils, printable stencils on a regular basis. So you want to be on that list. Make sure you jump on that. I will resend this stencil later this evening in case any new people have jumped on. Brooke Allison says, beautiful spring break here in New York. My daughter and I are excited for our first class with you. Awesome, Brooke. And what is your daughter's name? Are you Brooke? Looks like Brooke Allison. So I'm not sure if maybe it's Brooke and Allison. I don't have my glasses on. Maybe what did I do with my glasses? Oh, they're right here. I'll throw them on here just a little bit, especially when we get to that drawing part. But all right, I'm going to go ahead and just clean up my brush here. I'm going to be using the same brush for my grass. So I'm taking this and just kind of, rinsing out my brush a little bit, cleaning it up a bit. Doesn't have to be perfect. If there's a little bit of blue left on it, it's no big deal. Okay, just want to wipe it off with a paper towel there. Now I'm going to take, let me see, I'm running out of my Liquitex green, both my light green permanent and my Hooker's green, which is what I use often. So I'm going to go ahead and just get out as much of the paint from this tube as I can. This is my green permanent. Got to go pick up some supplies here pretty soon. But I'm going to go ahead and put some of that on my palette. I'm also going to take some primary yellow, and I'm going to add that to my palette as well. We're going to mix the two colors a little bit, or at least I am, to make a nice light green. Okay, I want a nice light green, creates a nice background for that grass area. Okay, so again, light green permanent, a little bit of yellow. Again, if you don't have these colors, don't stress, use what you've got. Okay, so a little bit of green, a little bit of yellow. I want a nice bright green. I'm going to do this just like that. Maybe a little bit more yellow. I want it a little bit brighter. That looks about right. And then I'm going to come in here. Actually, I'm going to take a little tiny bit of water. I just dip my brush in my water just a tiny bit, and I mix it in here. That little bit of extra water helps the paint spread around the canvas a little easier. Makes my job a little bit easier, a little bit smoother. And I'm going to bring this, kind of comes up a little bit on each side. So I just do a little bit of a curved brush stroke like this. Okay, then I fill it in. Kind of like that. Nice and easy. If you are new to the page, or if you've been painting with me for a while, welcome once again. Okay, welcome once again, or welcome if it's your first time. So I often will paint around my edges. I forgot to do this with my blue. So I'm just bringing the green around. I don't do the bottom edge just yet because I'm painting on an easel, it can glue my canvas to the easel. So just taking that green and wrapping it around left and right. And while that's drying, I'm going to take the blue and do the same thing all the way around the sides and the edges. Penelope, she is 7. All right, fantastic. Hi, Penelope. Welcome to you both. Happy to have you here for your first time painting with Jesse. So again, I'm just cleaning my brush up a little bit. Okay, just cleaned it up. I'm going to go back to my blue here for a moment. And I'm going to paint my edges. Linda. Yep, absolutely, folks. This is being recorded. Okay, this is actually being recorded. You can always back this live session up. Just because it's live doesn't mean you have to paint live with us. You can always back it up. Okay, you can, from right here, you can simply back it up to the beginning and start right from the beginning. Either way, if not, if you don't have time to paint right now, you can come back to this and paint later. It'll be available for at least a week. The recorded session, I do remove it eventually. It'll be available for at least a week, so you have at least, until next Tuesday, okay? So come on back and paint when you have a moment. All right, what else do we got? What's happening, Maria from Ukraine? Folks, when you see me looking down, I've got a laptop here in front of me, and I use that to monitor the comments and the questions. So it's not that I'm avoiding eye contact with the camera. I'm looking down at the laptop trying to read your comments. So hello to you, Maria from Ukraine. And then Esther says, very nice. Hi, Esther. All right. So just coming back up to my blue, and I'm just going to kind of go a little over some of these little areas that I can see need a little paint. And if I'm going to create a little bit of streakiness, and that's okay. Almost like little clouds in the background. Just a tiny bit, not meaning to do that. It's just that I'm going back to the same area with my blue, and I'm doing this. I'm just kind of taking my brush and doing this again. And just trying to come up to these areas where I can see a little bit of the white canvas coming through. Before I start on that bunny, I want to cover those areas up nicely. All right. All right. Okay. So I'm going to take my blow dryer to this. I'm going to dry it up. Once it's dried, it should only take me a minute or so. I'm going to go ahead and start on the drawing of our bunny. Okay. Paint on canvas dries faster than I paint. Is that normal? Yeah, it sure is, Angie. It just depends on the depends on the paint, depends on the weather. But yeah, absolutely. Whoops. Almost dropped over my camera by trying to grab my blow dryer. But all right, here's my little blow dryer. Here we go. Okay, that should be dry enough. Okay, so we're going to get into the drawing part of this. I'm going to walk you step by step on recreating this little bunny. Okay, in just about a minute or so, we're going to start on that. Just want to remind you guys, if you're on the Painting with Jesse email list, I did send out a stencil tracer printable little download that you could print out on your computer, on your printer, and then use that as a tracer. Okay, and there's various ways to trace an image onto a canvas, but you could paint the background in first like I did, and then take the tracer and put that on next. You can always put the trace on first, paint around the background around it. There are various ways to approach something like this, right? There's various ways to skin a cat, as the saying goes. So whether you paint your background in first like I did, or you draw in your bunny first and paint everything else around it, either way is perfectly fine. Okay, a lot of it has to do with your preference. So just you get to decide. Okay, so here we go. Again, I'm going to be using a colored pencil for my drawing part of this, and for this, I better throw my glasses on. Don't stress out. I always encourage you to try the drawing part of this because most people, I think, can follow along fairly well, especially with somebody showing you step by step. If you're intimidated by drawing, or maybe you tried drawing at some point early in your life and maybe you didn't do too well at it, it's okay. Don't stress out. Don't think that because you've tried it before and you didn't do well that you can't draw. It is a matter of practice. It is a matter of persistence and relaxing through it. Okay, so again, if you're drawing with me freehand, you can use chalk, you can use pencil, you can use watercolored pencils, et cetera, et cetera. It just really depends. I'm going to be using a basic colored pencil in purple. And the reason I'm using purple is I want to make it easier for you guys to see what I'm doing. Okay, so let's take a look at our bunny. Little bunny is slightly right of center on my 8 by 10 inch canvas. Right, he's a lot closer over to the right side. His head's somewhere about in here. Okay, and then of course his little body below. We'll do a couple of proportion checks. His body is about, let's see here, length from his neck, or where his neck would be to the bottom of his body. Compared to the head is a little bit larger by about maybe a fifth or a fourth. Okay, just something to kind of look at. There's two main parts to our bunny, and that's the head and that body. We're going to start with that head here. So let's go ahead and put a little line here on top. Oop, maybe you're not going to be able to see my colored pencil, so I might have to switch to a regular pencil. Okay. Give me a second, folks. Let me grab a pencil. Actually, let me see. I got a piece of yellow chalk. We're switching gears here. Let's try my yellow chalk. There we go. So I'm going to use chalk instead. Here's the top of my bunny's head. Okay, you want to leave some room on the edge. You don't want to go too close to the edge. On the edge of my canvas, I've got about 1.5 inches. Okay. 65 degrees in Virginia Beach, says Winnie. Not too bad, Winnie. Not too bad. We're close to that right now. I think maybe 70-ish. So it's not too bad. Okay, you want to leave yourself some room up on top for the bunny's ears, right? You want to leave some room up on top. We're not worried about those ears just yet. We're worried about the shape of our little bunny's head. So right here, we're going to come down like this. It's almost like we're drawing. Some parts of it are kind of like a circle. Some parts are almost like a square, like you got almost a straight line on the back of the head. Okay, we're going to go like this. We got the ice cream truck going by in the background. If anybody wants any ice cream, let me know. I'll put that order in for you. Don't know how long it'll take for me to send it to you. It'll melt before it gets there. Someday soon, though, maybe we'll have that tech where we can transport stuff to each other in an instant, kind of like Star Trek or something like that. But okay, there's my bunny's little head. Again, nothing fancy, just kind of a general, almost like a square a little bit. It has elements of both a square and a circle. Now I'm going to take, the reason why I like doing things in chalk or chalk pencil is because you can easily erase. And I'm just taking a little bit of a wet paper towel, a little water on a paper towel, and I'm going to just clean up the inside of my lines. Okay, just so it makes it easier for you guys to see what it is that I'm doing. What's happening, Julie? Are you painting along today, Julie, or are you just hanging out? Okay, again, there's the general shape of my little bunny's head. Nothing fancy, nothing too specific. His head might be a little larger than what I want. No, he's pretty close. Pretty close. I feel like they're pretty close. All right, very good. Okay, so there's the little shape of the head. I'm not worried about the ears right now. I'm not worried about anything else except for putting in the body. Anytime you're drawing something, especially if you're newer to drawing, you want to break things down into large parts first. Okay, and the next big part is the body, which basically looks like almost like the letter U. Okay, if you're just looking at the outline, we're not looking at the arms, we're not looking at the feet, nothing else. And I'm going to start right back here on the back of the neck, or the bunny's back. Okay, that starts about there, comes down, curves back forward and under. And then from about here, so if I'm looking at the original one for reference, the bottom here where it starts to curve up does not stick out further than the cheek does, right? Than this part here. This part sticks out further than even the belly does. So using that as reference, we're just going to come back up, kind of like this, and go back up to the neck. I'm going to make my line a little bit darker or brighter, so it's easier for you guys to see. Okay, there we go. You got it, Heidi. Awesome. Gisela Ceballos, hola. Hola to you. Frankie, what's happening? Thank you, Frankie. What's happening, my brother? Julie, awesome. Painting. All right. So there's the general shape of our little bunny, of the head and of the body, right? So we're not really worried about anything else at the moment. We're not looking at the legs, we're not looking at the feet, we're not looking at anything else, we're not even looking at the facial features. Okay, you break things down a little at a time, big parts first. Once you've got this, you can kind of look at it and go, okay, is that where I want, is that the right shape for my head? Is that the right shape for the body? Do I need to make any changes? Okay, and at that point, you decide what you want to do. Sherry, that's okay. So Sherry says, my bunny is taller than yours. Don't worry about that, everyone. If your bunny could be a little taller, it could be a little shorter, it could be a little wider. Everyone's bunny is going to end up looking a little bit different, okay? So don't stress about trying to create an exact version. Thank you, Elena. Layla and Elena from Puerto Rico. How's it going? Thank you for joining in today. Eileen Lopez, hello. Just drinking a little bit of coffee, a little afternoon coffee. It does a body good. At least that's what I say. That's what I say. All right, everyone. So where do we go next? We can go to the feet. We can go to the arms. In this case, I'm going to go up to the ears. Okay, and the ear, this little ear goes up into that corner. I can start up at the top and work my way. Whoops, other side of my eraser. Work my way down. It goes like this. Come down on the other side and kind of do the same thing. Now, because of the bunny's perspective, this ear is longer than this one. This ear is longer than that one. Little bunny's head is slightly turned, just a little tiny bit, okay? So that means that this ear turns out to be a little shorter than this one. And it looks to be coming out from the back of the head almost, from the back, right? Because the bunny's kind of like this, slightly turned. So if I had ears, this ear would look a little shorter, right? So that's what we're doing with this one. Wherever this one is, we're going to go like this. We're going to come down, bring it down a little bit. And it's also a little skinnier. But those are details you don't have to worry too much about. If your little bunny ears are almost the same length, that will work too, okay? So there's one ear. I'm going to go ahead and paint the insides also, or draw the insides. Elizabeth says coffee time. That's right. Angie also. I have coffee. Cheers to everyone. Thank you for joining in today. Okay. Bunny ears done. Bunny ears in place. Where do we go next? Well, I'm going to go to this arm. This little arm right here. I'm going to bring that out. There's a big Easter egg, right? He's holding the Easter egg in his arm. I'm drawing the top part of the arm. Comes out like this. Okay, and then down here, bottom part. Okay, like that. And we don't need to draw his little fingers or his paw or anything like that because we have the Easter egg. He's holding his Easter egg. So I can start here, kind of close to the face. We'll go with the right side first. Little egg is narrower on top, wider at the bottom. Okay, kind of like that. Right, general shape of an egg. So then we're going to come over to his other little arm. His little arm starts about right here somewhere. And again, we start with the top part of his arm. kind of does this. Again, nice and easy, folks. Don't stress too much. Don't overthink. Your arm could be a little larger than mine, wider, skinnier. It's all okay. Now, I'm not worried about the brush right now. I'm going to wait. Once I've done some painting on the bunny and stuff, then we'll add the brush. We're not worried about the brush right now. Okay? But what we do want to do is we want to add his little feet. So he's got one little foot that comes out. I'll give you guys a close-up in a moment. This might be a little hard to see on the camera. Okay. Here's what I got so far. And I'll give you a close-up of the original so you get an idea as to what those feet look like up close. All right. All right. What else can we draw? Now, I don't want to draw any of the facial features. I'm going to wait on those. Once we paint the inside of the bunny's face and stuff, we'll add those with paint. Okay. And then, so again, the facial features on our bunny, we're not drawing those, or at least I'm not. I'll add those in with paint later. What else can we draw, though? We can draw this egg right here. Okay. Similar shape as the first one we just did. Whoops. Flip that back upside down. And it's slightly leaning over. Nice and easy, everyone. Nothing crazy, right? You all know what eggs look like. Slightly wider at the bottom and get narrow up at the top. So kind of like that. My little egg's leaning over. There's a little bit of grass here holding it up. Okay, what else can I draw? I can draw the little... Actually, I'm going to leave this alone. I'm not going to draw this till later. That's just going to get in the way of what I'm going to be doing at the bottom with the shading and things like that. So, but he's got a little container with some paint in it right there. Okay, we're gonna leave that alone. Can we draw the butterfly? We sure can. Little butterfly coming up. So we're not going to worry about this part here. We're just going to put in the wings for now. And the wings, we can start with almost like the letter B. We're going to, wait, maybe not, or backwards B. Okay, it goes like this. A little too close. Let me fix that. We need some space in there. We need some space for the body when we add that. Again, everyone, because I'm using paper towel with a little bit of water in it and chalk is easy to remove, which is why I like to draw with it. But again, little space between the wing and the egg, because we're going to have a little space. We need that little space for when we do the body. Okay. Okay, something like that. There we go. Actually, I'm going to make this wing a little wider, like on the original. There we go. And then we got the other wing on the other side. You only see a little part of it. And that comes up and does kind of like that. Here's a little close-up. Okay, and this is just basic chalk, everyone, in case you're wondering. Some of you that may be wondering. Very basic chalk. Okay, so as far as the drawing goes, let me take a little step back. You always want to take a step back and analyze what you've got. You want to take a look at it. Make sure that before you go on to the next step, which in our case is going to be adding some paint, we want to make sure that everything is where we want it to be. Okay, so, and sometimes what I'll do when I'm painting for myself and I'm not teaching, I'll walk away for a little bit. I'll walk away for a minute or two, or I'll kind of look away, distract myself. It lets my brain, my vision refresh a little bit. Then I'll come back and look at it with fresh eyes, and it makes it easier to pick things out. Okay, it makes it easier to pick things out that I need to fix before I go on to that next step. So nothing really, nothing that's really different, except for maybe this little area on my bunny's head right here. I'm going to fix this a bit. I'm going to change it where it's a little less, where it's a little bit more like the original, a little bit flatter. So it kind of does this. This flatness, and we don't want it too flat. We don't want it to have a, we don't want to have a square shape, but this kind of general flatness makes it look like like that's the back of his head or closer to the back of his head. And it's subtle. It's nothing too crazy or very different or very obvious. It's a little bit of a subtle change that will make a difference. It will make this look like that's, his little cheek, and this is more of the back of his head. Angie says, my canvas is larger because I don't have the same size. Do I add more eggs? It all really depends on you, Angie, what feels right to you. When you're as you're painting it, it may become obvious to you that you need more eggs, right? Again, it's a kind of a feel thing. Oh, forgot his little bunny tail. But yeah, it's how you feel about it. Okay, you don't have to, and you don't have to decide that now. You can decide that later. But it's whatever feels right to you. If it looks like it's bare and you have room for them, you could add more if you'd like. But all right, we're going to start with a little bit of what's happening, Rachel. Once again, I think I said hi to you earlier. Looking a little cheeky, huh? A little bit of primary white is what I'm adding right now. I'm also going to take a smidge. When I say a smidge, I mean a smidge of, I got some black here. In my case, this is my Mars black. Whether it's ivory black or flat black, or doesn't really matter too much. It's probably too much black. I don't need that much. I need a tiny, tiny bit. But I'm not going to use all that up right now. I'll use some more of that up later. Okay. What am I doing now? Oh, a little tiny bit of my dioxazine purple. If you don't have this purple, don't worry about it. It's not anything too important. But here's what I got. And my colors are all over the place right now. Okay, I'm going to take some of my white. I'm going to take my Filbert brush. I'm just going to bring this white over here. I'm creating the base color for the bunny. Okay, a little base color for the bunny. I'm going to take a little tiny bit of black. Okay, a little bit. Too much black. Ooh, way too much. Okay, don't worry, no worries. I'm going to bring some of this down here now. I'm going to take more white. I'm going to lighten it up. We got another ice cream truck going by. Okay, I'm going to take a little tiny bit of the dioxazine purple. I'm going to go like this. It's going to look mainly gray, but a little tiny bit of that dioxazine purple throws things off a little bit, which is what I want. Okay, here we go. This is my base color of paint, and I'm going to use this. I'm going to paint this all over the bunny, everywhere. For this first layer, it's going to look a little transparent. You're going to be able to see some of that blue coming in through the background. Now, I didn't add any water to this. At least I didn't. You may have to, depends on the type of paint you're using. Not all acrylic paint is the same. I'm using Liquitex. Liquitex Basics, pretty decent paint. And I'm just going to use this base color. I'm going to paint right up to the edge of my chalk line. Hey Laura, how's it going? Hope he's doing well. Hope he's doing well. But definitely, when you have a chance, absolutely. This one's a fun one. They're always fun, right? They're all fun. At least I think so. But definitely a little fun spring Easter piece that isn't too complex. A break from some of the more difficult ones that we sometimes do in the group. But all right. So again, just coming through here and adding some of this here. I'm also going to bring this down to the body. Now, for me, as I'm doing this, some of the chalk mixes in with my paint. So you'll see a little bit of a discoloration. And that's okay. It's not anything too crazy. I'm going to cover all that up. I'm also going to paint the little arm. I'm leaving the chalk so that I can see my drawing line. Heidi says, why not? What's the question, Heidi? Something, why not? I'm not sure. Something I said I'm sure, but absolutely, Brooke. Please change it up. Again, folks, when you paint with me, you get to change things however you want. Brooke's asking if she can add a dragonfly. Absolutely. I love seeing people's creativity. I love seeing people change things up. You don't have to draw exactly what I'm doing. So yeah, absolutely. Change it up however you want. Absolutely, Brooke. Have fun with the dragonfly. Maybe sometime in the spring we'll do something with a dragonfly because I think dragonflies are really cool. We've done one or two things with dragonflies inside my membership group. For those of you that are members, I think we've done one or two. I don't refresh my memory. At least one, I know for sure. So, all right. All right, there's our first layer of paint on the bunny. And it's all that gray color, right? This is our base color, our base coat. All right. Same brush. I'm still using my little Filbert brush. Yeah, I think so, Rachel. One, I think you're right. What time is it out there, Rachel? Rachel's joining us all the way from England. She's one of the members in my group. What time is it? I know it's pretty late, and I always kind of forget. You guys are 8 hours ahead, I think. All right, take a little bit of my black. Okay, I'm going to bring it down here. And I'm going to mix it a little bit with this color. Just want a bit of a lighter version of my black. You could also mix a little bit of brown in this if you'd like. But I'm going to take this and I'm going to color in the little feet. We can do this step now. And there you get a better view of my little bunny's feet. And then this one over here. Now, just because I've got chalk lines or, sketched lines, doesn't mean I have to follow them exactly. If, as I'm painting along, I realize that something's a little different and I want to change it, I can change it. And I can, paint outside my lines. I can add to I can make my design a little bigger, etc. Just because you have drawing lines that you put out, sketch lines, doesn't mean you have to stick to them, okay? You can modify things with your paint. And then I'm just going to go at a little bit right here on this little foot. Would this be a paw? Little bunny paw? Almost midnight. Oh, absolutely, Heidi. Yep. Why not draw a dragonfly? There you go. Why not? Exactly. But a dragonfly would be fantastic in place of that little butterfly. Okay. So as this is drying, I'm going to go ahead and start adding color to those eggs. And again, folks, feel free to change up the decorations on your eggs. Make them however you'd like. If you don't want to have a little gradient in here like I do, where you got a little bit of a highlight on top, don't worry about it. Don't do that. You don't need to do that. If you want to have stripes on yours, if you want to have spots, it is your painting, your Easter eggs, your bunny doing the decorating. Make them look like whatever you feel works for you. Okay, and for this one, I'm going to go ahead and switch, just for the heck of it, since I have it over here, my little 1/2 inch flat. Now, this isn't exactly a 1/2 inch. This is actually this is a number 9. Maybe a little more like in between a 1/2 inch and a 1/4 inch flat brush. But nothing, I'm just pointing that out in case it looks a little small. I'm going to take a bit of my pink. I'm going to start with that pink. I'm going to start with the egg here on top. Okay, and I'm going to go like this. take my white. I have a little bit of white up here that's still kind of clean, so don't want to add any of that black to my white, to my pink. I'm going to grab some of this pink like this, bring it over. Going to need more pink for sure. Just a little bit of a mixture here. And I'm going to go here at the base of my little egg. Let me grab more pink. Remember, folks, enjoy the process. Try not to worry too much about the outcome. The outcome should be secondary, as far as I'm concerned. You may think of it a little differently, but again, the more you enjoy it, the more likely you are to continue painting. Some people get discouraged if they don't enjoy the process, right? You want to have a little fun with it. So, all right, once again, painting. Now, my egg over here is slightly more inclined or has a little bit more of an incline where it's turned this way. That's okay. I can leave this one a little more upright. Doesn't make a big difference. And I'm just painting back and forth like this. I still want to leave my highlight over on this side. Okay, mixing in a little bit more. Mixing in a little bit more white, okay, to make my pink a little lighter. Hey Rachel, it was just black and white, a little bit of white for the feet. Okay, I'm gonna go like this. Up here's a little bit lighter. And I'm gonna bring my white down into the pink a little bit. Just like with everything else, this is our first base, our first coat of paint. We'll come back to this and add a second layer in a little bit. Clean this up. And if you struggle making this transition from dark pink to light pink, you can make it all one solid color if you'd like. You can always add a little white highlight on top later. So again, nothing too fancy. Hi, Angie. I sure did. I kept the same brush throughout that process. Okay. Same brush. Didn't change things up. So, all right. Giving you a moment to do a little catching up, maybe about a minute or so. In a moment, I'm going to come down to this egg and do the same thing that I just did to that pink one, but I'm going to do it in blue. Okay. So I'll be using a little bit of primary blue and a little bit of white. And then I'll be using the same brush, my little 1/2-inch flat. I just cleaned it up in my rinse cup. So what's coming to the painting with Jesse Page? Lots of things. In the meantime, while you guys are kind of catching up, what's happening? Let's see here. Let me talk about this. See if I remember the things that I got planned. So next month is May, and May is meningioma month. Basically, I know this is a little bit kind of a weird segue maybe, but meningiomas are tumors, brain tumors, that affect lots of people in the world, mainly women. Okay, May is Meningioma Awareness Month. So sometime next month, and I still have to plan things out, we're going to do a painting to raise a little bit of awareness around meningiomas and maybe help raise a little bit of money for meningioma research. More details to come on that, but if you are interested in any of that, you want to make sure you're following the page and maybe even the email list, because I will be sending information out on that. We'll be doing a painting that helps raise awareness, a little painting session that helps raise awareness. So that's in May. Okay, again, May is Meningioma Awareness Month. We'll be doing something with regards to that. The membership, my art membership group, Finding Your Brushstroke. Currently, the doors are closed to new members. At some point, I think it's also going to be in May. At this point, I've got a tentative date set, but the doors will be opening to let new people in. Some point in May, not sure what the date is yet, but I'll let you guys know when it comes down more details when I start to, figure out the details. For those of you that have been waiting, the last time the doors opened was at the beginning of the year, January. So next door opening is next month as well. I know there's something else I got to talk about. I can't remember at the moment. So when I remember it, I'll talk about it. But again, if you aren't part of the Painting with Jesse email list, please make sure you get on that so you can stay up to date with all the fun things that happen on the page. Okay, so back to that blue Easter egg. A little bit of primary blue, and I've already got some on my palette, but I need some more white, so let me get some more white on here. Back to the same brush, okay, my little 1/2-inch flat brush. I'm going to take some of this primary blue. I'm going to bring it over here. I'm going to take a little bit of that white and mix it just to brighten things up a little. Again, we start with a little bit of a darker base. Might be a little too dark. Yep, a little too dark. Don't want it that dark. I mean, it could be, I guess. But we're going to use this color down here, bottom of our little egg. Okay, and again, we're going to take a little bit of white. And I'm going to bring this color. So I've got some white on here with that blue, and I'm going to bring it up here. I think I may have picked up a little bit of black by accident, and that's okay. As long as it's a little bit, doesn't make a big difference. Use whatever color you got there, Angie. If I'm using magenta, this is a light magenta, but yeah, use whatever color you like. It is, Rachel, magenta and white for the egg. Okay, and again, I'm just grabbing a little bit of white. Whoops, there's some pink in there too. It's all right, all good. As long as it's a little tiny bit of the other colors, it's not going to affect much. So we're getting a little lighter on top, a little darker at the bottom. This is only the first layer, so we're not looking to have a lot of detail right now. Okay, there we go. A little blue and a little bit of white for that egg. What else, folks? What else you guys got for me? Any questions? Have you guys told me who you're painting with, where you're painting from, and who you're painting with? Same brush for each color. Let me get or a small mop brush. Angie, I'm sorry. What's your question? So the egg, I didn't do any. I don't have an outline on the egg. I just use the same little flat brush. So I don't actually outline the eggs. The flat brush, I just paint all the way to the edge with that same little flat brush. Okay, but use whatever's comfortable for you. Okay, whatever you feel is comfortable. A small mop brush would work. You just have to be able to control it. So when you get to that edge, you stay within your lines. Okay. But okay, let me see here. I'm going to come down here and start to add a little detail down here, a little extra detail to my grass. Using, let's see here, what brush am I going to use? One of my small brushes. I'm going to grab my little round brush. This little guy right here, little number 0 round brush. I'm going to dip it in my water. I'm going to scoop up some green water. So I'm going to mix a little bit of water with some green. Especially when you're going to make small lines, little skinny lines, you want to grab a little bit of water because that little water helps. So you dip your brush in that water and then you mix that water into the paint. So what happens then, it becomes a lot easier to do this. The paint sticks to the canvas a little more easily. So I'm just adding a few little grasses here, maybe over here. And a little bit at a time, everybody, a little bit at a time. Things start to make more sense. Things start to look a little nicer. You want to trust in that process. Okay, there we go. And again, I know that I'm going to have some little grasses over here, so I might as well just start adding a few of those small ones here next to my little egg. Okay, and that should do it for now. Okay, gonna paint my butterfly. Primary yellow for me. Again, you change your colors up in whatever way you feel your, whatever pops into your head, whatever you feel looks right for your piece, you can change your colors in that way. Okay, you don't have to do the same colors as I've got over here. Okay, I'm using my little Filbert brush, a little rounded head Filbert brush. The Filbert brushes are good. They help you. Whoops, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to back up a little bit. I'm going to take some white. I'm going to take a little tiny bit of white. So I'm doing this. Make sure I don't grab the other colors. A little white, mix it in with my yellow. The white is going to make my yellow a little tiny bit more opaque. So you don't see as much of that blue coming through in the background, from the background. And this is going to take a couple of coats of this. So for this first part, it's going to look kind of greenish. But when we come back, once this is dried and we come back to it, it's going to make more sense. It's going to look more yellowish. Okay, just like that. That is a good idea, Angie. Rotating your brush to look at different, it gives you different perspectives. So Angie mentioned she likes to rotate her canvas. So when you rotate your canvas, you get easier access to some parts depending on the angle, the way you can move your wrist and things like that. So by moving your canvas around as you paint, you can actually you may find it easier to paint to get into certain areas. But by turning it, you also get a different perspective, and that can help you in seeing areas that maybe need a little bit of work. But all right, everybody, dry this up. Here we go. Okay, so things are looking pretty nice. I do say so. I'm happy with what I've got. Once again, a little step back, and you want to look at your process a little bit. When you take a step back and look at everything from a bit of a distance, it makes it easier to see everything. When you're too up close, sometimes your angle's a little bit off. You're not quite able to see everything. So take a step back, take a little walk if you need water, maybe eat a snack, do something a little different for a couple of minutes or a few minutes. If that helps you, and it'll kind of refresh your brain and your ability to see things. You come back and you assess if you're able to more see what's going on, okay, and able to more easily detect issues with your within, and make your changes before you continue. Let me check something here really quickly. I want to see if I can. I'm still not able to see the comments in real time, so give me a second, everyone. Give me 1 second. Bear with me a moment. Okay. Nope, for some weird reason, It's not gonna let me. It's okay. Bunches around here. That's okay. What are we gonna do next? Now we can start layering on the bunny's face. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take just white and I'm going to start creating those lighter parts of the bunny. So let's grab some white, we put it right on that canvas. Now, again, everyone, you're not seeing me add too much water into my paint, but a little bit of water can definitely help. And you may need to add some water on yours. It just really depends on, on the type of paint that you've got. All right, let's see. I'm gonna use my 1/2-inch flat brush. Cleaning it up in my rinse cup. Okay, wiping off the extra paint. I'm gonna scoop up white, just white in this case. And I'm gonna grab it nice and thick like this. That might be a little too thick. So let's take some off. And I'm gonna do this. Where are my glasses? Back to my glasses. Here we go. So the left side of my bunny's face is pretty it's pretty light. It's mainly just white over this gray. It's where the sunlight's coming from. We have a sunlight coming from the left side of the bunny. So that's where we're gonna have the lightest parts. Okay, and then down here in the belly part, like the chest and the belly. If you guys are enjoying the process, if you're enjoying the session, if you can give the session a like, that'd be fantastic. It helps the Facebook algorithm share this with more people. Okay, so if you haven't yet, please like the video. Hit the little little thumbs up or the heart if you love it. Again, it just helps kind of get the video out to more people. Again, we do at least one free session a month here on the Painting with Jesse page. So if you're not already a part of the email list, the Painting with Jesse email list, make sure you sign up for that. The link to that is in the description of the video. So I just came up to the ear and I'm outlining on the left ear. I'm going to outline both sides. Now you'll notice that on this first layer of this white, it still looks a little bit kind of grayish. That's pretty normal. We'll fix that. We're going to do one more layer on the bunny later on the white parts of the bunny to lighten it up a bit. Okay, right in here on the forearm of this, or the top of this arm. And then over here, kind of same thing. This little arm has a highlight right there. We have this little container with paint. I'm going to do this with my brush. I'm going to just, same little flat brush. I'm still working with my flat brush. I'm going to create that little container. Your container doesn't have to look just like mine. Again, don't stress too much about this. Don't overthink. It's like a big, right now it's going to look like a blob. But we're starting the little container here. Okay. Still using my same little brush. I still have some ink mixture from earlier. I'm going to scoop some of this up. Don't stress if I'm going a little on the quick side for you, folks. Everyone paints at a different pace. There's no right or wrong. Remember, you can always back the video up. If you get behind or something like that, you can back the video up. If you get tired or even a little frustrated, and I'm taking some white and some pink, you could always just step away for a little bit. This video is going to be available for you to watch. You can come back, and if you're painting live right now and you get a little frustrated or too far behind or what have you, you can always step away for a little bit. Come on back and paint with a recorded session, or you can pause it, walk away for a bit, and then come back to it. Okay? Don't stress out. Don't feel like, oh my gosh, I'm behind. No such thing. Now I'm taking just pink. Okay, no mixture of anything in here. I didn't clean my brush. I kept the paint, the lighter paint from a moment ago in here. Now I did clean it. Actually, I did not, because I had the white of the bunny on there. Okay. I was about to say I did clean it when I switched from the bunny to the egg. So here's my pink, the regular dark pink, the light with the white mixture. I'm going to take a little bit of this, a little more white. I'm going to go like this, right in between. I'm going to make a color that's kind of in the middle. So not too dark and not too light. In between the middle of this color and this color. A little bit more. Too much. And I'm going to add that right in here. And just like that. So what happens is you get a little transition between this, from here to the top, a little tiny bit of a transition in color, from dark to slightly lighter. And again, everyone, don't stress if you're having a hard time with that part of it. Don't worry about it. Just do it however. If it's all one solid color, that's perfectly fine. Okay. Clean up my brush a little bit. I'm going to go grab some of the blue. Okay, a little bit. And here we go. We're going to start on the base once again. I could start with the light part of the egg too and work my way down. A little bit of white. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to go like this. Right in here. A little bit of a transition again. It goes from dark to light. A little more white. And right here. Now I want to keep the angle about the same with regards to the light, because the light's coming from this side. When you're all done with your painting, folks, please send me a picture to the Painting with Jesse page through Messenger. I'd love to see what you've got. And then when I get a chance, I share your paintings as a group with the Painting with Jesse page. So here's my pink egg. There's my blue egg. I'm going to take some white, same brush. Just a little tiny bit right here. Just a little bit of white. Give my little egg a little bit of a highlight. Again, nothing fancy, nothing crazy, nothing out of this world. A little bit of white again, just dipping it into that white and right here. Basically, you want this to be brightest near the top of the egg. Okay, up here. Like that. Then maybe a little bit more right there. Like that. You guys are kind of quiet. Not sure. That makes me think you guys are concentrating real hard. Make sure you guys are painting, doing a good job with your painting. All right. Oh, I'm gonna take my same little brush right in here. Another layer over the container, so it stands out a bit more from that grass. Let me give you guys a close-up of my little container. Almost like a big letter U. Here's a little close-up of my entire bunny as it looks right now. Again, everyone, don't stress out. Don't make it too serious a project. Just have fun with it. Enjoy it. Enjoy it for what it is. A fun little simple Easter painting where everyone's going to end up with something a little different. All right, let's see. Where am I going to go next? I'm going to take that little round brush that I was using earlier. Whoops. Did you break the tip on this thing? Maybe. So I'm gonna go back to my 1/2-inch flat brush. Let's scratch that for a moment. Okay. Back to my little flat brush. I'm gonna grab some pink and some white. So like this, kind of similar to what we did with the egg. Pink and some white. And we're going to go like this. The inside of the bunny's ear. Remember, folks, there are often moments in any painting where it can get a little frustrating. It's normal, very normal. The trick is to not expect perfection with every brush stroke, to let things be. Meaning, even frustration, as much as you try to avoid it, when it rears up, you just, okay, so I'm a little frustrated right now. You just, all right, keep working through it, okay? Andrew, you guys have seven students there with you right now painting along, is that right? Pretty cool. Okay, let me see if I'm ready to do another layer up here. I'm gonna dry my painting one more time. And then we're gonna do another layer of white right over the top of all this to really get things nice and bright. Okay, so blow dryer. Sounds good, Rachel. No worries. The shading can be a little bit tricky because it's a little on the subtle side. But yeah, no worries. Go ahead and back the video up and yeah, take your time with it. Take your time with it. You know how the process works. So yeah, definitely take a little time and flesh that out. Okay, back to some white. Clean my brush a bit. For this step, I'm going back to my 1/2 inch flat brush. I'm going to grab some white. Okay, let me put my glasses back on here. I'm also going to take a bit of water, clean water, because my rinse water is starting to get a little too green, and if I use that, it's going to make my rabbit turn a bit on the green side, which I guess would be kind of cool. Maybe it's a St. Patrick bunny. Okay, a little bit of water in my white. Okay, a little bit of water. Hey, what's happening, Anita? It is. This is a fun one. Cute little simple painting. Kind of simple. Again, I use that word loosely. Okay, a little bit of water in my painting. Water in my paint. Water in the paint just makes it a little easier to work with. It does thin it out a bit, but it makes it easier to spread. Bunny ear right there, the front part of that ear, make it nice and bright. Over here. Okay, here. Little arm. So this next layer of white just makes everything a little bit brighter. So the things stand out a bit more. Okay, now I'm going to take a bit of my black, just a little tiny bit of this gray black mixture, and bring it over here. A little bit of water once again. What's happening, Christine? Awesome. Hope you're doing well out there in Texas. Loving this cute bunny down Texas way. Awesome. Thank you for joining in today. Okay, a little tiny bit more black. I want that. We're going to go back to the shading part of this, to the shadow side of our little bunny. Wait, do I have purple left? I do. A little bit of purple still on my plate. Whoops, too much purple. Went a little overboard on that, so I'm going to have to thin that out. Okay, there we go. And let's see, do I have the right color? Maybe a little more on the purple side, but that's okay. A little more black. I'm just adjusting the color a bit, folks. Give me a moment. I want to make sure I got the right, or close enough to the right color, so I can continue adding a bit of shadows of the shadow. Refine shadow on the bunny's face. Let me see. A little more white. And here we go. That should do it. There we go. Just going right back over the shadow parts of this. Okay, here all I did was a bit of a mixture, right? It made a little more of that dark gray or semi-dark gray by mixing some black, a little tiny bit of black, a little bit of white, and then a little tiny bit of that dioxazine purple. You don't have to mix purple in yours. You don't need to. I just don't want. Oftentimes, when you mix gray or black and white to make gray, the color can be a little too much. It creates too much of a contrast. And this is a really bright, kind of light-hearted, bright, sunny day, spring painting, and I don't want to make it where that black is really contrasty. So I had a tiny bit of purple, and even though you can't really tell, it looked grayish, it does make a little bit of a difference. Now, of course, we have black that we're using in the piece for the eyes, or at least I am, parts of the bunny, but for this shadow part, I want to keep it slightly, add a little bit of color. So add a little bit of a purple hue to it in this case. And I'm just coming and refining these shadow parts of the bunny. All I'm doing is layering, just so that you don't get as much of that canvas coming through. There's a couple little parts in here that are still a little bit on the kind of thin side. That original layer is still coming through a little bit, or the original color of the background's coming through a bit. All right. Again, nothing fancy, nice and easy. What's happening, Diana? It's okay, no worries. Again, Diana, you can back the video up if you'd like, okay? The video is live, but you can always back it up. Oh, I forgot to come over to the arm on the other side to add a bit of this shadow. So in here. Okay, now we're going to add some of the details of the bunny's face, like the eyes and the nose and the cheeks. Now our little bunny's going to start to pop. Before I do that, though, one last little thing. I'm going to take a little round brush here, and I'm going to paint right over the butterfly with just yellow. I'm not mixing any white in this case. Let me show you guys something really quickly. You guys notice around the edges of the bunny, and the edges of the eggs or the butterfly, you see a little bit of my chalk, okay, kind of hanging out there. Once this piece is dried, I'll wipe it off with a light cloth, and it'll clean all that up, okay? But I wait till it's fully dry before I do that. Otherwise, I will get if it's not dry when I do that, I'm going to smear paint all the way around. Okay, small brush. Let's go back to our liner brush. A little thin, little small round brush. Okay, I'm going to take just black. Now again, very important in this case, it's like what we did a little while ago when we mixed our color with water. I'm going to take some of this black. I'm going to bring it down here on the palette. I'm going to take my brush. I'm going to stick it in that water and bring some of that water over. Because I'm going to be drawing some small details, I need good control. Water is going to help me do that. So take some water, mix it in, really good. We'll do that a couple times. Then we're going to come up here. And a little eye. I'm going to start with this little eye over here. Okay, that little eye lines up. If you look at the edge of that ear, kind of comes down like this. The edge of the eye lines up about with that. Again, just use this loosely, right? This kind of almost like a placement. You use your ear for placement. So somewhere, if I come down like this, I'm just going to draw the eye. Okay, that water helps me make that outline a little easier. Okay, there's one eye. And as long as it's in the right spot, I can go ahead and color it in. Now this eye is already, I can tell it's going to be a little larger than the original, and that's all right. Might make my bunny a little cuter, I don't know. We'll see. So there's one eye. Now something to note, this little eye over on this side is a little tiny bit smaller than this one. okay, because of the perspective of the face. But it's subtle. It's not that obvious, and it's not that big of a deal if you make them the same size. Again, with this eye, we can kind of use the edge of this ear, kind of come down. And it's almost on the edge of that eye. And they're lined up pretty much straight across from each other. So if I come across like this, again, this eye is going to be a little bit smaller, but similar shape. Kind of ovalish. I have my shape done, and then I fill it in. Is there anybody watching that would like for me to make a list of supplies that I use, like brushes and like posts where I talk about the supplies I use, in case maybe you're just watching, you're not painting, and you're like, or you're newer and not quite sure all the stuff that you need or can use, like surfaces, paint, that kind of stuff. Let go, and I'll be happy to do that. Elizabeth says painting bunny brown. So what color should I shade it with? So if your bunny is brown, what you can do is so let's say maybe this part is light brown and this part is dark brown. So you can add a little bit of black. So if you add white to your brown to make this light part, right? So let's say you make a light brown and then you just use the dark brown as your shadow side. That's one way of doing it. Or if you're using brown straight out of a tube, you just add a little bit of black to it, or a darker brown, but probably black would be the way to go. Add a little bit of black to your brown to get your shadow side. Okay, that's one way. Okay, so there's the eyeballs or the eyes. Now the little nose. Little nose sits in the center. I'm going to start with kind of a little upside, like almost like a wide letter Y. Okay, like if you have the top of your Y, and then you start doing that, you bring this down, and I'm going to go this way, and then that way. Little bunny has eyebrows, little tiny, tiny little eyebrows. Gives him a little character. One little eyebrow, other little eyebrow. I was about to dip my brush in my coffee cup. You got it, Diana. Yeah. So I'll do a post. I'll try to do it by this week, where I post basically the supplies, general basic supplies that you'll need if you want to start painting. Okay. If you're newer to painting and you have some supplies and you're not quite sure what else you might need, I'll post a list. Okay. I'll have to kind of put it together. And I might try to put some recommended like brands, but I try to stay away from that. Maybe I'll just tell you guys what brands I use. If that, last thing I want to do is recommend something that some of you may not like, but maybe I'll do that too. I mean, I do that with my membership group, but yeah, that I suppose that could help some of you guys. So I'm just kind of cleaning up this little side of the cheek a bit, bringing it out a bit with white. Okay. All right. A little bit of pink and white mixture. So I just grabbed my Filbert, folks. I just switched over to my Filbert really quickly. A little bit of pink and some white. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little cheek right here, a little rosy cheek. And then that way. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little cheek right here, a little rosy cheek. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little cheek right here, a little rosy cheek. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little cheek right here, a little rosy cheek. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little cheek right here, a little rosy cheek. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little cheek right here, a little rosy cheek. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little cheek right here, a little rosy cheek. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little cheek right here, a little rosy cheek. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little cheek right here, a little rosy cheek. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little cheek right here, a little rosy cheek. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little cheek right here, a little rosy cheek. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little cheek right here, a little rosy cheek. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little cheek right here, a lit Then over here. Again, folks, this side is a little bit larger, again, because of the perspective, but don't stress too much. Okay, until this is fully dried, because I can smear the black just carefully. I'm going to add this little pink in here. Okay, there we go. All right. Little bunny's looking pretty happy there. Okay, again, nothing fancy, nothing too crazy. I'm going to take a little bit of my pink and right here on top of my jar. Okay, this is what I've got so far. I'll give you guys a little close-up of my bunny. Once again, nice and slow. Butterfly still needs a little bit of assistance there. A little more yellow. Just cleaning up my brush a little. Scooping up some yellow like this. Okay. I'm going to grab a small little brush. This little guy right here. Water. Back to my black. Again, the same black that I used to make the eye features on the face. Little body of the butterfly. Let me give you guys a close-up with that, as to what that little body looks like. Got the little head. It's narrow and pointy. Okay, so again, nothing too fancy there. Start with the head. Okay, work our way back. And this tapers off into a little point. I'll give you guys a close-up on the new one here in just a second. Now, this new butterfly is a little larger than the original one. That's all right. So something like that. Again, nothing too fancy. Okay, sounds good, Heidi. So yeah, look for that list sometime this week. I'll also send it to the email list just to make sure. I know some people that are on there I know I've got some people on the email list that haven't actually started to paint or are very early in the painting process, and a list would help them out. Pair of little tiny antennae that are coming out the top of the head. While all of this is drying, I'm going to start to create a little shadow down here. The shadow is basically, under eggs or this egg and the bunny, and that's just a dark green. Okay, I'm going to mix. In this case, I mentioned that I don't have any of that of my hooker's green left. Actually, let me see. See if I can get some of this hooker's green out of the tube. Nope. I have various tubes of this. Oh, there we go, tiny bit. All right. Maybe just enough to make a little bit of a difference. I'm going to take some of that green, I'm going to take some of this green. I'm going to add a little bit of primary blue to make some dark green. So this right here, a little bit of this here. Mix them together. Little tiny, tiny bit of primary blue will darken the green pretty nicely and make it look like a shadow. And I'm going to come in here with the bunny. Oh, I just remembered my little side a little while ago. Let me go. Give me a second, folks. 2 minutes. I'm going to go bring my dog inside. I do apologize. But give me a second here. Where do we go? Be right back. All right, sorry about that, folks. Can't leave our doggy outside for too long. Otherwise, she gets a little bit fussy. We got a little small Shih Tzu poodle mix, a little tiny thing, and she hangs out in our backyard, but can't leave her out there for too long. But all right, look, what else do we got? Get back over. Fur babies always come first. That's right, Diana. That's how that goes. All right, let's take a look. The paintbrush. Oh, sorry, we're still on that shadow, aren't we? So let's continue with that for a little bit. And then we're gonna put in our little paintbrush. Okay, I'm also gonna take our green, that green that I was just adding down there. I'm gonna add a little bit more black, a little bit of black to it, and a little tiny bit more primary blue. So black and primary blue mixed in there. Gonna create a nice dark green shadow for us. And I'm gonna just bring that across under that bunny. I'm gonna come across this way. Come across over here. Let me raise this up a little bit so you guys get a better view. Under the egg a little bit. Okay, there we go. Looks like a pretty decent shadow. All right. Just going to clean my brush up here. I'm going to take, we got some little paint splashes there. Paint drops. Pink. Okay, and I'm just going to come across, and our little bunny's a little messy. getting paint all over the floor, all over the ground. A little bit here and there, maybe a little on one of his feet here. Okay, a little bit of blue. I'm going to grab some of this, mix it with some white. I want some light blue. Maybe a little more there. And again, little paint splashes. Gonna make it a little lighter. Okay, brush. A little brush. Now this is actually brown, so give me a second. I can make it black if I want to. This is brown, so do I want to make it brown? Yeah, I think so. I think I should keep it the same. So give me a second while I grab some of my brown. If you don't have brown, you can make it black. I'm just cleaning this part up right over here. Okay, give me a second while I grab some brown. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a little bit of burnt umber for my brown, and I'm going to mix it with some yellow. We're almost there, folks. We're almost there. Just a few more little touches, and we can call this painting done. I'm going to have to sneeze. Excuse me. Wow. Okay, a little bit of brown, just a tiny bit. I'm going to do this right up here by my yellow. Still going to use a little bit of yellow to add one more layer of paint on the butterfly. But a little bit of yellow and a little bit of brown to make a nice light kind of a golden brown. And then the little bunny's holding this, holding the brush. So maybe like from here, I'm going to work my way back. And that's a good spot for the tip. Okay. Now the tip is just black. Oh, and of course red. So we'll start with the base. Little small brush once again. Don't forget to use water in your mixture. In this case, this is just black. And I'm going to go like this. Give me a second, everybody. Okay. So again, little base of the brush, and I'll give you a close-up. Okay. I'm going to clean that brush a little bit. Now I'm going to take some pink. Okay, you're going to need a little bit more pink. I'm going to add that to the end of it. Okay. Just like that. Little guy has a brush in his hand. I keep wanting to stick my brush in my water, in my coffee. Let's not do that. Even though it's non-toxic, still don't want to do that. All right, a little bit more yellow one more time on that butterfly. Okay, just scooping that up. And that should do that. What color is that paintbrush? Mine keeps blending yellow with coral. Are you talking about this, Angie? The paintbrush, the handle is so it's burnt umber and yellow, and primary yellow. Is that what you mean? Or are you talking about the end of it, the bristles? So a little bit of water and some white. Small, skinny brush. Okay, once you've added some water in there, you spin it. Makes that tip nice and skinny. And then let's add some whiskers. And my whiskers are kind of transparent, and that's what I want. If you want to make yours a little bit brighter, that's okay. That works too. Or even a little dark. Whoops. As I did that, I kind of leaned over on my chair, lost my balance a little tiny bit. Clean that up. Little water on your paper towels, all you need to clean something like that up. And here we go again. Okay. Now on the original, we're almost there, folks, almost there, I promise. On the other side of the container, you see the other edge, okay, on the far side. I'm going to do the same thing, a little brush on my little container. Just a bit of white across on that other side. gives the container a little tiny bit of depth. And then I added a bit of pink. Okay. And if you want, maybe you could do little drips on there. On the edge of the container, maybe a drip of paint coming down. That'd be kind of a nice little touch. Let me take a little step back. So magenta for the pink right here and black for the bristles, Angie, and then that brown and yellow for the brush. So again, we take a little step back, make sure we haven't missed anything. In a moment, I'm going to go ahead and dry this up, and in a bit I'm going to wipe it off to remove all the extra chalk lines on the edges. Okay, but before I do that, let me take a little step back, look at our little bunny, see what else I can do, what else it might need. But I think we're good. I think we got it all, except for some minor refinements, and I wouldn't do those today. I'd wait to let it sit for a day or two before I look at it again. And then I come back in, look at it again, and see if there's anything else that I need to adjust and make them at that point with a nice, fresh set of eyes. But here we go. Okay, again, if you have any eraser chalk lines around your edges like I do, and again, I want to demonstrate. You can see some of the yellow around the edges like there on the bunny. Okay, there. Before you erase those, you want to make sure your painting is fully dried. Normally, I would probably spend another minute or two drying this before I attempt this. But you take a soft cloth, or paper towel like I've got. You want to dip it into some water. You don't want this too damp, okay, but a little bit of water. And then what you do is you just take your towel, your cloth, and clean around the edges. Okay, removing that extra, removing the little outlines. Now, what I often like to do when I'm not sure if it's, my painting is completely dry yet, I'll paint inwards like this into the piece where the paint is, towards the inside. Now, some colors of chalk leave a little bit more residue than others, and can stain your paint a little bit. Usually, though, it's nothing crazy, and it doesn't take away from your painting. It often even enhances things a bit. But you can always come back over your edges and clean them up. If you've got any of that color left over, you can always come back and add more paint over those edges to fix that. If it's anything that's too obvious, or something that you don't like, that you find detrimental to the painting. I don't want to rub too hard. I'd wait till everything's really, really dried after a day or so before I really rub a little harder to remove that chalk. Okay, but that's basically how that works. The last thing to do is to sign the piece. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. What color should I use here? Something that's going to stand out from the background. I think I'm going to stick with pink and a little bit of white. So this is for my signature. Again, everybody, don't forget to send me pictures of your paintings. If you if you want to send them to me, you can send them to me on Messenger on the Painting with Jesse page. Don't forget, if you're not on the email list yet, look at the description of the video of this session. You'll find a link to the email list. You want to get on that because that's how I keep you guys updated of all the stuff that's coming on the Painting with Jesse page. You also want to be following the page if you're not already, because that also helps you keep on top of things. Okay? So you don't miss out on any of the fun stuff that we got going on. And we do have quite a bit of stuff coming over the next few weeks and months, of course. Summer's around the corner, spring's around the corner, and we do lots of fun pieces around that time. So make sure you're on that list, okay? All right, everybody. Hope you've enjoyed today's session. I know I did, as I usually do, as I always do. Not usually, always. There's never been one that I did not enjoy drawing and painting along with all of you. But thank you for joining me. And again, don't forget, if you didn't finish today, the recorded session is going to be available for at least a week. Make sure you get that done though, because I will be taking it off and removing it from the page. Okay. Thank you all for joining me. Let's see. I want to make sure that I'm still live. Let's see. Am I still on? I should be. I am. Okay. Let me see. Yep. Here I am. But thank you all for joining me. I really appreciate it. Hope you enjoyed the little fun Easter Bunny session for today. All right, everyone. Have an awesome rest of your day and an awesome rest of your week. Bye-bye.